Imagine a grand, prestigious corporation, a place where ambition gleams in every polished surface. Yet amidst the hustle, a quiet figure toils, a cleaning woman often unnoticed, her presence blending into the backdrop of luxury. She's routinely overlooked, her work taken for granted, and her very existence disregarded by the high-flying executives who stride past without a second glance. But then a pivotal moment arrives, a shareholders' meeting. The room is abuzz with the self-assured elite. Suddenly she appears. A hush falls, quickly replaced by dismissive chuckles and contemptuous stares. They see only a cleaning lady, an interruption. Yet with a single resounding declaration she irrevocably transforms the entire company. The laughter dies in their throats, replaced by a dawning, sickening realization. They've made a grave, monumental mistake. Before we dive into this incredible tale, join our movement for meaningful stories. Hit that like and subscribe button and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Let's start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy. Jamila Thompson stepped into the gleaming lobby of Vanguard Innovations, a mop and bucket in hand. The towering glass walls mirrored the flawless, polished floors, reflecting a world of sharp-suited executives who flowed past her like a dismissive current. To them she was a ghost, invisible, just another cleaning lady melting into the opulent background. But they were profoundly mistaken. Jamila wasn't there to clean, she was there to reclaim what was rightfully hers. What you're about to witness is the astonishing journey of a woman who refused to be dismissed, who ascended from the shadows to the pinnacle of a corporate empire. Stay tuned because this epic of strategy, resilience, and ultimate justice will leave you utterly speechless. The quiet infiltrator Jamila Thompson tightened her grip on the mop handle, her dark brown eyes carefully observing the vast, imposing lobby of Vanguard Innovations. Every detail of the space screamed power and affluence, from the massive glass panels to the metallic gold accents and the dazzling crystal chandelier that seemed to rain light. To any casual observer she was simply another cleaner, unimportant and unseen. And that precisely was her intention. Dressed in the crisp green uniform of the janitorial staff, Jamila moved with an almost silent efficiency, guiding her cart toward the service elevator. Behind her, the sharp clicking of designer heels and the hushed conversations of executives filled the air. They swept past her, their custom suits cutting through the space like blades, their focus intently fixed on themselves. Not a single one paused to acknowledge her. Why would they? She was merely a part of the scenery. But Jamila harbored a profound secret. Beneath the serene exterior of a woman pushing a mop and bucket lay a mind far more formidable than they could ever conceive. She wasn't there to scrub floors, she was there to absorb and understand. Every casual glance, every hushed conversation, every careless remark from the corporate elite provided her with invaluable intelligence. They couldn't perceive it, but Jamila was, in fact, the most formidable person in the entire building. She didn't need to raise her voice to command attention because soon, they would have no choice but to listen. This singular moment had been painstakingly cultivated over years. From an outsider's perspective, Jamila's path had appeared to be one of relentless struggle. The daughter of a single mother who tirelessly worked as a hotel maid to sustain her family, Jamila learned early on that respect wasn't freely given to people like them. It had to be earned or even better, seized. Her life wasn't preordained to lead to this grand revelation. She had been an honor roll student, a brilliant standout in her college economics courses. Yet she quickly discovered that raw talent and ambition weren't always sufficient. She had applied for entry-level positions at Vanguard Innovations, her dream company, only to face a barrage of polite rejections. Too inexperienced, overqualified, not a good fit. After months of dead ends and countless sleepless nights, Jamila realized she needed to redefine the rules of engagement. That's when her audacious plan took shape. A bold, strategic infiltration of the very company that had dismissed her, designed to wrest the power they believed she could never possess. Now, as she pushed her cart down the polished marble hallways, Jamila had one unwavering objective: to decipher the very heartbeat of Vanguard Innovations. She wasn't merely observing, she was meticulously dismantling the system that had attempted to shut her out. The apex ascent stopping silently outside the executive elevator, Jamila pressed the button and waited. The gleaming mirrored doors slid open and she stepped inside, enveloped by sleek chrome. As the elevator ascended, she took a deep breath, catching her reflection. Her uniform might have been unassuming, but her eyes blazed with a fierce, unwavering determination. When the doors parted, she emerged onto the top floor, the executive suite. Here the very air felt different, heavier, imbued with an oppressive sense of importance. The carpets were plush, the art on the walls abstract and undeniably expensive. Through the glass doors of the boardroom, she could clearly see Vanguard's true power brokers. The CEO, the CFO, and the rest of the leadership team, huddled around a gleaming polished oak table, deep in hushed discussion. Jamila paused, feigning adjustment of her cart as she absorbed fragments of their conversation. "The merger is going through," one man declared with a smug laugh. "That's another few million in bonuses for us." "Smart move," another chimed in. "Just don't let the employees hear about it. They'll think they deserve a piece of the pie." Jamila's jaw clenched, but her face remained perfectly impassive. She had heard this callous rhetoric countless times before. Executives who perceived their workers as disposable, as mere tools to be exploited and discarded. It wasn't just arrogance, it was a profound ignorance. They had no inkling of how precariously fragile their world truly was, how close it was to tipping completely in her favor. They had no idea that Jamila Thompson now held the majority shares in Vanguard Innovations, that while they were preoccupied with calculating their bonuses, she had been methodically, quietly accumulating power, one meticulously calculated move at a time. She continued wheeling her cart down the hallway, a faint, knowing smile playing on her lips. For now, she would remain unseen. But very soon, when the timing was absolutely perfect, she would reveal herself. And when she did, everything would irrevocably change. The unveiling Jamila spent her initial days at Vanguard Innovations mastering the art of blending in. She cleaned with a quiet diligence, moving from one immaculate corner of the building to the next. Her mop and bucket provided her with unparalleled access to areas most employees never even considered. She meticulously scrubbed floors outside the finance office, eavesdropping on two accountants whispering about impending budget cuts. She wiped windows near the marketing department, overhearing junior employees venting about unrealistic deadlines. She cleaned breakroom countertops as interns lamented being overworked and underpaid. Every piece of gossip, every whispered grumble, every sigh of frustration, it all meticulously fed into the comprehensive picture she was constructing in her mind. But it wasn't just the lower-level employees who captured her keen attention. The executives, cocooned in their glass-encased offices, were equally oblivious to her unassuming presence. They spoke openly, their ingrained arrogance shielding them from the very idea that someone like her might actually be listening. "They want hazard pay?" scoffed one VP during a hallway conversation with the COO. "For what? Showing up on time? Please. People just don't understand how difficult it is to run a company. If they spent less time whining and more time working, maybe they'd get somewhere," the COO retorted, sipping his exorbitantly priced espresso. Jamila gritted her teeth, resisting the powerful urge to retort. She knew better. This wasn't the moment to reveal her hand. These were the very individuals she was up against, people living in an insulated bubble of privilege, utterly detached from the dedicated workers who tirelessly sustained their empire. What they failed to comprehend was that the woman meticulously cleaning their floors possessed a far sharper intellect than all of them combined. One evening, after the office had finally emptied, Jamila lingered. The building was hushed, the gentle hum of the air conditioning the only sound as she guided her cart down the executive corridor. Stopping outside the CEO's office, she paused, her heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and nerves. She glanced around, ensuring she was completely alone, before extracting a small notebook from her pocket. Inside were her meticulously gathered notes, accumulated over weeks of acute observation. Names, dates, conversations, patterns, everything that would illuminate the weaknesses in their leadership and highlight the critical opportunities to pivot the company's direction. She flipped through the pages, her mind racing with innovative ideas. It wasn't merely about seizing control. It was about the profound impact she would create with that control. She envisioned a company where every worker was truly valued, where unwavering transparency replaced shrouded secrecy, where power wasn't solely concentrated at the very top. Her fingers brushed against another crucial sheet of paper tucked within the notebook. The official documentation unequivocally proving her majority stake in Vanguard Innovations. She had spent years quietly accumulating these shares, working discreetly through various intermediaries to ensure her name remained entirely off the radar. Now she was primed to wield them. The following day, Jamila found herself meticulously cleaning the boardroom windows as the executives conducted their morning meeting. She moved deliberately, keeping her head down, listening intently. "The shareholders' meeting is next week," the CEO announced, his tone radiating absolute confidence. "Everything's perfectly in place for us to present the merger as a done deal. It's going to be a win across the board, especially for us. Those bonuses are going to look nice in our accounts," the CFO added with a smug grin. Jamila almost laughed aloud. Their unshakable confidence was astonishing. They genuinely believed they were untouchable. But they were mere days away from a brutal awakening. As the meeting concluded and the executives began to file out, Nathan Pierce, the CEO, paused briefly near her. His gaze flickered over her for a fleeting moment, a potent blend of indifference and condescension. "You missed a spot," he drawled, gesturing vaguely toward the window before sauntering away. Jamila's grip on the spray bottle tightened, but she forced herself to remain outwardly calm. Let him savor his arrogance for now, she thought. He had absolutely no idea that the woman he had just casually dismissed would very soon become his new boss. As she completed her work and wheeled her cart back to the storage room, Jamila felt a powerful surge of determination. The era of silent observation was drawing to a close. She had acquired all the knowledge she needed about Vanguard's operations and its leadership's mindset. Now it was time to act. The reckoning that night in her modest apartment, Jamila meticulously spread her notes across the kitchen table. She meticulously reviewed her plans, fine-tuning every single detail. The shareholders' meeting was her stage, the climactic moment she had been painstakingly building toward for years. It wouldn't just be a revelation. It would be a reckoning. She closed her notebook with a decisive snap, her heart pounding with raw anticipation. For far too long she had been overlooked, underestimated, and summarily dismissed. But all of that was about to change. The next morning she would return to Vanguard Innovations one final time in her familiar janitor's uniform. By the end of that day, however, she wouldn't merely be a part of the scenery. She would be the one rewriting the entire narrative. The day of the shareholders' meeting finally dawned. Jamila awoke early, the immense weight of her meticulously crafted plan pressing upon her. But she welcomed it. It was the kind of weight that came with a profound sense of purpose, a stark reminder of the monumental stakes involved. This wasn't merely about her. It was about the countless individuals who had been overlooked, undervalued, and silenced by the very system she was about to fundamentally disrupt. Dressed in her janitor's uniform, she arrived at Vanguard Innovations as usual, pushing her cart through the pristine lobby. The executives were already assembled in the boardroom, their boisterous laughter and unshakable confidence spilling into the corridor. It was a deeply familiar scene, one that Jamila had observed countless times. But today she wasn't there to clean their windows. She was there to shatter their carefully constructed illusions. As the shareholders began to file into the meeting room, Jamila quietly stepped aside, melting into the background as she always had. She watched as the room filled with men and women in impeccably tailored suits, their conversations buzzing with excited anticipation about the company's future. They were there to hear about the proposed merger, a deal designed to consolidate power at the very top while leaving the workers at the bottom with even less. When the meeting officially commenced, Nathan Pierce, the CEO, rose to stand at the head of the table, radiating an almost palpable self-assurance. He opened with his characteristic charm, warmly welcoming the shareholders and meticulously setting the stage for what he unequivocally believed would be a routine celebratory session. "This merger," he began, his voice resonating with conviction, "is not merely an opportunity for exponential growth, but a profound testament to our unparalleled leadership and unwavering vision. We've worked tirelessly to ensure Vanguard Innovations remains at the absolute forefront of the industry. Today we definitively solidify that preeminent position." The room erupted into polite, anticipatory applause. Nathan smiled, visibly basking in their approval. He then motioned for the CFO to present the intricate financial breakdown, and as the PowerPoint presentation flickered to life, the mood in the room shifted to one of intense, focused attention. Jamila waited patiently for her moment. As the CFO droned on about projected revenues and intricate cost-cutting strategies, Jamila took a deliberate step forward, her janitor's uniform a stark, jarring contrast against the homogeneous sea of tailored suits. At first, no one registered her presence. She positioned herself near the head of the table, her posture ramrod straight, her gaze unwavering. Then she cleared her throat. The sound cut through the CFO's presentation like a sharp knife. Every single head in the room swiveled toward her, confusion etched across their faces. Nathan frowned, his annoyance evident. "Excuse me," he said, his voice laced with impatience. "We're in the middle of a meeting. This can wait." "No," Jamila replied calmly, her voice steady and firm. "It can't." Nathan's eyes narrowed, but before he could respond, Jamila reached into her pocket and extracted a thick, official-looking envelope. She placed it squarely on the table directly in front of him, her movements deliberate and precise. "What is this?" Nathan demanded, his tone sharp with irritation. Jamila folded her hands in front of her, meeting his gaze without flinching. "It's documentation," she stated, her voice carrying clearly across the silent room. "As of last month, I acquired the majority shares of Vanguard Innovations." The room went utterly silent. Nathan stared at her, his face a mask of profound disbelief. He snatched the envelope, yanking out the documents and frantically scanning them. His hands trembled uncontrollably as he read the words, his lips moving silently as if desperately hoping to discover a crucial error. This can't be real," he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. "It's very real," Jamila replied, her voice firm and resolute. "I now own 51% of this company." The shock reverberated through the room like a seismic earthquake. Executives exchanged panicked, wide-eyed glances. Some of the shareholders leaned forward, craning their necks to get a better look at the damning documents. The CFO looked as if he might actually faint. Nathan's voice was barely audible. "How?" Jamila allowed a small, knowing smile to subtly curve her lips. "While you were preoccupied with slashing costs and utterly ignoring the very people who make this company run, I was quietly, strategically buying shares. And now, the power you've taken for granted rests entirely with me." The immense weight of her words hung heavy in the air. Nathan slammed the documents onto the table, his face a furious crimson. "This is a hostile takeover. You think you can just walk in here and—" Jamila calmly held up a hand, effectively cutting him off. "This isn't hostile, Mr. Pierce. This is justice. For years, you've exploited the diligent workers who built this company, treating them as mere expendable tools while shamelessly lining your own pockets. That ends today." The room erupted into utter chaos. Executives frantically scrambled to comprehend the unimaginable situation unfolding before them. Nathan's voice rose above the din, demanding answers, but the shareholders were no longer paying any attention to him. Their gazes were fixed solely on Jamila, their faces a complex mixture of shock, intrigue, and even a nascent respect. "Let me be absolutely clear," Jamila continued, her voice radiating an undeniable command. "I'm not here to dismantle this company, I'm here to rebuild it. From this moment forward, Vanguard Innovations will unequivocally prioritize fairness, transparency, and accountability. We will invest profoundly in our people, not just in our profits." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Some of the shareholders nodded, clearly impressed by her composure and her bold vision. Nathan, however, was far from convinced. "You're out of your depth," he sneered, a final desperate attempt to undermine her. "Running a company isn't as simple as pushing a mop." Jamila raised an eyebrow, entirely unfazed by his pathetic insult. "And yet here I am running the company you thought you controlled. Funny how that works, isn't it?" For the remainder of the meeting, Jamila meticulously laid out her comprehensive plan for Vanguard's future. She spoke with the unwavering clarity and profound conviction of someone who had spent years preparing for this exact moment. She outlined innovative initiatives to dramatically improve working conditions, to significantly increase diversity within leadership roles, and to create clear, accessible pathways for all employees to genuinely share in the company's success. By the time she concluded, the room was hushed, the shareholders exchanging glances, many of them visibly impressed. Nathan sat rigidly in his chair, his jaw clenched, his face utterly pale. For the very first time he had nothing left to say. As the meeting officially adjourned, Jamila calmly gathered her papers and stood tall. She glanced at Nathan one final time, her expression serene but undeniably resolute. "Power doesn't emanate from titles or expensive suits, Mr. Pierce," she stated. "It originates from truly understanding the people who genuinely make this company what it is. And that's something you never bothered to learn." With that, she turned and walked out of the boardroom, leaving behind a room full of people who would never, ever underestimate her again. The new vanguard. As Jamila walked out of the boardroom, her heart thrummed with a quiet exhilaration. She had just accomplished what so many deemed impossible, yet she remained remarkably calm and composed. The immense weight of her declaration settled over her like a heavy yet profoundly empowering cloak. The power shift wasn't merely symbolic. It was undeniably real. Now the true work began. Jamila returned to her modest office, a space that had once been an unused storage room. She hadn't yet moved to the executive suite, choosing instead to remain grounded, close to where she had started. She sat at the desk, her laptop humming softly, reviewing reports that meticulously outlined the company's priorities, pressing challenges and burgeoning opportunities. The cold, hard numbers confirmed what she instinctively already knew. Vanguard Innovations was profitable, but at a devastating cost to its people. High employee turnover, pervasive morale issues, and stagnating wages had gnawed away at its very foundation. Her very first step was to announce a company-wide town hall meeting, an event the previous leadership had assiduously avoided. Jamila wanted to hear directly from the employees from every department and every level. She didn't just want their feedback, she needed it. So she personally sent out the email, bypassing the usual convoluted communications channels, inviting all employees to meet with her in the auditorium that Friday. When Friday arrived, the auditorium was absolutely packed. The atmosphere buzzed with a potent mix of curiosity, skepticism, and a faint, nascent sense of hope. Many employees had already heard about the dramatic boardroom takeover. Whispers of "Did you hear? The janitor is now the boss," circulated excitedly among the eager crowd. As Jamila stepped onto the stage, the chatter quieted to an expectant hush. She stood confidently in front of them, no longer in her janitor's uniform, but not in a traditional power suit either. She wore a simple but elegantly tailored dress, a perfect reflection of her grounded yet utterly determined approach. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice steady and clear. "You probably know me as the woman who meticulously cleaned your offices. For some of you, I'm the woman who diligently replaced the paper towels when they ran out in the break room. For others, I'm simply that face you passed in the hallway without a second glance." A ripple of unease swept through the audience, but Jamila pressed on, unflinching. "What you didn't know is that for the last 5 years, I've also been quietly and meticulously learning this company from the inside out. Not from a distant corner office, but from where the real work happens, on the ground floor." She paused, allowing her words to profoundly sink in. "Today, I'm not just your CEO, I'm your advocate. Because I've seen firsthand what this company has done right and, more importantly, what it has done wrong. And together we are going to fix it." The room was silent for a profound moment, and then a young man in the back hesitantly raised his hand. Jamila smiled, nodding for him to speak. "Do you really think you can change things here?" he asked, his tone a mix of doubt and burgeoning hope. Jamila's smile widened. "I don't just think so. I know so. But I can't do it alone. Change isn't something one person imposes from the top. It's something we create together. That's why I'm here, to listen to you. Your voices truly matter." Over the next hour, employees bravely shared stories of feeling unheard, profoundly underappreciated, and consistently overworked. Jamila took diligent notes, responding thoughtfully and unequivocally promising transparency. By the end of the session, the mood in the room had dramatically shifted. Skepticism had given way to a palpable, cautious optimism. The legacy of change behind the scenes, however, the old guard wasn't going down without a fierce fight. Nathan Pierce and his remaining allies had spent years solidifying their power, and they weren't about to let Jamila unravel it so easily. Nathan, though publicly humiliated in the boardroom, began discreetly rallying his network of loyalists within the company, tirelessly spreading doubt about Jamila's leadership capabilities. "She's not qualified," he whispered conspiratorially to his inner circle. "Just because she bought some shares doesn't mean she can effectively run a corporation. This entire place is going to collapse under her." Jamila, fully aware of the brewing dissent, remained fiercely focused. She understood Nathan's type: arrogant, entitled, and rigidly resistant to any form of change. His desperate attempts to undermine her only served to strengthen her unwavering resolve. She began meticulously assembling her own dedicated team, strategically promoting employees who had been systematically overlooked for years, individuals who profoundly understood the company's struggles because they had personally lived them. One of her key appointments was Tara Nyan, an incredibly talented operations manager who had been stuck in middle management despite her plethora of innovative ideas. Tara had once proposed an employee profit-sharing plan that Nathan had summarily dismissed outright. Jamila not only resurrected the brilliant plan but appointed Tara as its dedicated leader. "Tara," Jamila said during their very first meeting, her gaze direct and empathetic, "you've been underestimated for far too long. I see what you're truly capable of. Let's show the world." Tara's eyes blazed with renewed determination. "Let's do it." Within mere weeks, transformative changes began undeniably rippling through Vanguard Innovations. Employee town halls became a regular, cherished occurrence. Company policies were comprehensively revised to include significantly better wages, crucial mental health support, and clear, accessible opportunities for advancement. Jamila's visionary profit-sharing program ignited a profound sense of loyalty among employees, who felt for the very first time that their hard work would be genuinely rewarded. Even the janitorial staff, Jamila's former peers, experienced significant improvements. They received well-deserved raises, upgraded equipment, and, crucially, far more respect from the rest of the staff. Jamila made it a personal point to visit them regularly, reminding them that their tireless work was unequivocally the backbone of the entire company. Nathan Pierce, however, steadfastly refused to adapt. As Jamila's innovative initiatives began gaining undeniable traction, he launched a desperate smear campaign, vehemently claiming her changes were financially reckless and would inevitably ruin the company. But his futile efforts spectacularly backfired when subsequent financial reports unequivocally revealed that Vanguard's profits had actually increased under Jamila's dynamic leadership, directly attributable to vastly improved employee performance and dramatically reduced turnover. At the very next shareholders' meeting, Nathan, emboldened by a false sense of security, attempted to publicly challenge Jamila's authority, once again accusing her of being out of her depth. But Jamila, armed with irrefutable data and the unwavering support of her now empowered employees, dismantled his flimsy arguments with a calm poise and surgical precision. "Out of my depth," she said, her voice cutting decisively through the lingering tension in the room. "The only thing I'm out of is patience for leadership that systematically ignores its people." The shareholders erupted in spontaneous applause, leaving Nathan seething in his chair, utterly defeated. By the end of the year, Vanguard Innovations had undergone a complete metamorphosis. The company wasn't just profitable, it was thriving. Employees were demonstrably happier, turnover rates had plummeted to historic lows, and the company's burgeoning reputation as an ethical and truly innovative leader in the industry soared to unprecedented heights. Jamila stood in her new office, a gleaming corner suite with expansive floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bustling city skyline. She could still clearly see the janitors diligently wheeling their carts below, the silent, tireless heartbeat of the magnificent building. Her extraordinary journey wasn't simply about proving herself. It was about definitively proving that power, when wielded with profound empathy and unwavering respect, possessed the transformative capacity to change the world itself. As she gazed out the window, Jamila smiled. The fight wasn't entirely over, but she was unequivocally ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. After all, she had started at the very bottom and she had risen, not by playing their established game but by boldly rewriting the rules entirely. Months had elapsed since Jamila Washington's unprecedented ascent to the very helm of Vanguard Innovations. The company had become the fervent talk of the entire corporate world, not merely for its meteoric transformation, but for the unorthodox, profoundly people-centric leadership style that fueled it. Jamila's compelling story graced magazine covers and talk shows alike. She was lauded as a true pioneer, a dynamic disruptor, and a visionary leader. But for Jamila, the widespread accolades mattered far less than the crucial work that still lay ahead. One crisp morning, Jamila sat in her office, the polished wood desk a striking contrast to the humble cleaning cart she had once tirelessly pushed through the sprawling halls. She had traded the mop for intricate spreadsheets, the janitor's uniform for impeccably tailored suits, yet her core perspective remained steadfastly grounded. On her desk lay a worn, cherished photo of her late mother, a constant, poignant reminder of the profound why behind her arduous journey. Her assistant Mia knocked gently on the door and entered with a hesitant yet warm smile. "Ms. Washington, your 2 p.m. meeting is ready. It's with the employee task force." Jamila rose, her confidence radiating. "Thank you, Mia. Let's go." The meeting was held in a collaborative space Jamila herself had meticulously designed, a stark, refreshing departure from the sterile, rigid boardrooms of the past. Comfortable chairs encircled a large, round table, and abundant sunlight streamed through the wide, inviting windows. Sitting at the table were employees from every conceivable level: administrative assistants, mid-level managers, warehouse workers, and notably even janitors. "Good afternoon, everyone," Jamila began, her tone warm yet purposeful. "I wanted to meet today to openly discuss the progress of our various initiatives and, more importantly, to hear directly from you. Are we moving in the right direction? What can we do better?" One by one, employees openly shared their thoughts. A warehouse supervisor spoke eloquently about the significantly improved morale since the introduction of profit-sharing bonuses. A janitor praised the new state-of-the-art safety equipment that made their demanding job far easier. A marketing associate enthusiastically mentioned how the truly open-door policy with leadership had fostered a new, palpable culture of trust throughout the company. When it was the turn of a young intern with braided hair to speak, she hesitated, glancing nervously around the room. Jamila caught her eye and offered a reassuring smile. "Go ahead," Jamila encouraged warmly. "Your voice matters here." The intern nodded, her eyes shining with emotion. "I just wanted to say thank you. Before you became CEO, I felt like no one saw me. But now I feel like I genuinely belong, like what I do actually matters." A ripple of profound agreement ran through the room, and Jamila felt a lump rise in her throat. She nodded, her voice gentle yet firm. "You do matter. All of you do. This company isn't just about profits or products. It's about people. And together we're proving that success doesn't have to come at the expense of dignity." The sweeping changes at Vanguard didn't merely stop at internal policies. Under Jamila's insightful guidance, the company launched a comprehensive community outreach initiative specifically aimed at investing in underserved neighborhoods. They forged powerful partnerships with local schools, offering generous scholarships to promising students and hosting vital job training workshops. Jamila personally ensured that the core focus remained squarely on equity and access, systematically breaking down the very barriers she had once faced herself. One of the most profoundly significant moments came during a vibrant ribbon-cutting ceremony for a brand-new community center, generously funded by Vanguard. As Jamila handed oversized scissors to a young girl from the neighborhood, she saw a reflection of her younger self in the child's wide, curious eyes. The girl smiled up at her and innocently said, "One day I want to be like you." Jamila knelt gracefully to meet her gaze. "You can be anything you want to be," she said, her voice steady with unwavering conviction. "And if anyone ever tells you otherwise, you make them see the truth." The unwritten rules. Despite her overwhelming triumphs, Jamila's journey was not without its relentless challenges. Nathan Pierce, the ousted CEO, desperately attempted to stir up trouble through a flurry of futile legal battles and relentless media appearances. He painted Jamila as hopelessly inexperienced and entirely out of her depth. But her tangible results spoke far louder than his bitter accusations. Every time Nathan tried to undermine her, the irrefutable data was there: soaring profits, employee satisfaction at an all-time high, and a public perception of Vanguard as an innovative, ethical trailblazer. "Let him talk," Jamila calmly told her leadership team one afternoon. "We're too busy building a lasting legacy to entertain his bitterness." As the year drew to a close, Vanguard hosted its very first company-wide gala, a magnificent event designed to celebrate the dedicated people who had made its success possible. Employees from every single department, from the janitors to the top executives, mingled joyfully in the grand hall of a downtown venue. The atmosphere buzzed with an infectious sense of joy and camaraderie. Jamila took the stage, her commanding yet approachable presence instantly silencing the room. The room fell utterly silent as she began to speak, her voice carrying both immense strength and profound vulnerability. "When I first started here, I was just another face in the crowd," she said softly. "I was invisible to most people, and for a while I truly believed that was all I would ever be. But today I stand before you as living proof that visibility starts from within, that the power to truly change the world resides in each and every one of us." She gestured expansively to the diverse crowd. "This company is not about one single person. It's about all of us, together. We've collectively proven that success doesn't have to mean stepping on others to rise. It means lifting each other up." The applause was thunderous, but what moved Jamila most deeply was the sight of her mother's cherished photo displayed prominently on the large screen behind her. It was a powerful, poignant reminder of where she came from and the solemn promise she had unequivocally fulfilled. Later that night, as the gala wound down, Jamila stood by a window overlooking the sparkling city skyline. The young intern approached her, hesitating slightly. "Ms. Washington, can I ask you something?" "Of course," Jamila replied, turning with a warm, encouraging smile. "How did you do it? How did you go from where you started to this?" Jamila pondered for a moment, her gaze thoughtful. "I never forgot where I came from," she said, her voice gentle yet firm. "And I never let anyone else define what I could be. The world will try to put you in a box. Don't let it. Write your own story." The intern nodded, her expression filled with a newfound, fierce determination. "I'll remember that." As the lights dimmed and the grand venue slowly emptied, Jamila lingered for a moment of quiet, profound reflection. The road ahead was still undeniably long, and there would always be new challenges to face. But tonight she felt a deep, abiding sense of fulfillment. She had rewritten the rules, not just for herself but for everyone who had ever been underestimated, overlooked, or simply dismissed. Jamila Washington had conclusively proven that power wasn't solely about wealth or status. It was profoundly about resilience, visionary leadership, and the sheer courage to demand more, for yourself and for all others. And this truly was only the beginning. Join the movement for justice. Subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and make these stories a part of your daily life. Together we can create change without any hesitation.